Week 1 starts tonight. Are you ready? I'm going to give you 10 games, my predictions for 10 games for this week 1 of the 2023 college football season. This is not something I've done in the past, but this year I think I'm going to start doing this where I'm going to pick out 10 games, give you score predictions, and then you can find every Big Ten and every SEC game over on the Big Ten channel, on the SEC channel. Every week I'm going to go through and pick every single game and give a score prediction there. So if you want to see those, go check them out. And if you're a Big Ten fan, please help us out. Subscribe to that Big Ten channel. Trying to get that to 1,000 subscribers. So let's jump right in. And if it's a big game, I'll still show you the SEC and Big Ten games here on the main channel. But otherwise, you'll find the other games there. And we will start with an SEC game. Florida, Utah. So I did a full preview of this game over on the Florida channel. Broke it down, looked at the matchups and everything. And I'm assuming that Cam Rising is not going to play in this game. Maybe he does, but I don't think he's going to play. And by the time this video comes out, I'm recording it actually on Wednesday, but by the time this comes out, maybe you already have an answer to that. But still, I think Utah has some big advantages. I think they are the better team. I talked about in that video, I think Florida's defensive line is going to be a key for them if they're able to win, and really both sides of the ball. A defensive line where they might have an advantage, and then the offensive line, I don't know if they have an advantage, but they will have to play well there. They will have to keep Graham Mertz upright. They'll have to open some holes in the run game. If not, it could be a long day. So I'm going with Utah, though. I just think they're the better team, even without Cam Rising. 20-16 the final score. I think the defenses will play well in this game. And I think Mertz might struggle in the red zone for Florida when the field shrinks down. I think they settle for some field goals, and ultimately Utah gets the win. All right, we got Louisville, Georgia Tech. This will be a Friday night game at 7:30 Eastern time on ESPN. Louisville's favored by 7.5. When I look at these two teams and you look at the talent on this Louisville roster, I think they are the better team. But I think Georgia Tech comes out really fired up in this one. You look at the way they played at the end of last season, played with a lot of energy, and so I think they're going to be ready to go in this one. I think they get a lead early in this game, but I think Louisville, with the new players, new coaching staff, it takes them a little time to settle in, but they finally do get it going after maybe falling behind by 10 or 14 points, and they come back in the second half and they get the win in a very close game. 28-24 is my prediction here. Louisville gets the win, but it won't be easy, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lose this game. Next, we got Virginia, Tennessee. This one's at noon Eastern time on ABC. Not really a big game, but it is two Power 5 teams going at it, so I felt like putting it here on the video. Tennessee favored by 28 points against a Power 5 opponent. Virginia's not going to be very good this year. Tennessee's offense is going to score a lot of points, I think. Their defense might give up some, so I'm not going to say it'll be a really big blowout, but I'm going to pick Tennessee to win it 45-20. Again, I think Virginia gets some points. Maybe a late garbage touchdown makes the score look a little bit better, but Tennessee definitely going to roll in this game. Next, we got Colorado, TCU. All right, this is one a lot of people are looking forward to. The game's at noon Eastern time on Fox. It's the big noon kickoff game. TCU's favored by 20.5 points. Does Colorado have a chance? Well, it depends on who you ask. Some people think Colorado's going to shock the world. They're going to win this game. Others think they're going to get embarrassed. I saw multiple people, broadcast type analysts, whatever you want to call them, talking about Colorado and them having just a really bad offensive and defensive line. At the line of scrimmage, talking about how they were going to be really, really bad. And I do think there's some truth to that. I don't think they're going to be great at the line of scrimmage, but I do see a lot of talent at the skill positions. I think Shadir Sanders will be really good. You look at their cornerbacks, they're obviously going to be good. So I think it's a team that's going to be able to score. TCU might run them over. So I think it's a high-scoring game. I think TCU does win, but I think Colorado will put up some points. So I'm going with TCU 42, Colorado 28. My prediction for this game. Colorado keeps it a little bit closer than the spread there, but I just don't see them winning this game. And I could see a scenario where it's like 52-0. I mean, I could really see that potentially happening. I mean, we just don't know about Colorado and how big of a deal is it going to be with their undersized offensive and defensive lines. And Colorado also got some bad news. One of their stars on the offensive line is not going to be eligible. So it could be a long day for Colorado, but I think they put up a decent fight just because of their weapons on offense. Next, we go to Boise State versus Washington, 3:30 Eastern time on ABC. Washington's favored by 14.5. A lot of people like Boise State this year, and they're going to have a lot back on offense. Should have a really good run game, but that's really not going to help them much because I think Washington's run defense is actually going to be pretty good. I think it's the pass defense that could cause Washington some problems this year. But I don't know if a team like Boise State, I don't see them slowing down Washington's offense. I think Washington scores a lot of points in this game, and they win pretty big, 42-24. So I do not expect a close game. I know others definitely disagree with that. Some thinking that Boise State might have a chance here. I don't see it. Washington's going to be really good, and I think they win this game big. All right, UTSA versus Houston, 7 o'clock Eastern time on FS1. Kind of a forgotten game. It's not two big-name programs, but it's still one of the best group of 5 teams in UTSA and Houston, who's now a Power 5 team, and we saw a great game out of these two last year. I think this one comes down to the wire again. I think Houston, though, actually has something to prove. Now that they're in the Big 12, and people will be probably talking about... Actually, they're underdogs in this game. UTSA is favored by 2 points, so I think they kind of feed off of that underdog role. They're still going to have a lot of weapons on offense, and I love the transfer quarterback Donovan Smith from Texas Tech. So I think they're able to score in this game. UTSA, I think, will be able to score. They lost some key players from last year, but Frank Harris and a lot of guys are back, so I think it's a very close game. But I'm going to say Houston pulls it out. 34-31, the final score. Close win for the Cougars. Next, we got West Virginia versus Penn State. This game will be the NBC primetime game, 7:30 Eastern time. Penn State favored by 20.5 points. I talked about this, of course, on the Big Ten channel. I think West Virginia comes out ready. I think Neil Brown will have them prepared. Their offensive line is going to be really good. They'll kind of slow this game down. I think they can run the ball some, but it's going to be tough against this Penn State defense. I don't think Penn State goes out there and scores a ton of points. I think West Virginia's defense will play pretty solid. So I think it's a pretty close game, not a down-to-the-wire, one-possession type game, but a pretty close game. I'm going to go with Penn State 27, West Virginia 17. So the win goes to the Nittany Lions here. Next, we've got North Carolina versus South Carolina, 7:30 Eastern time on ABC. North Carolina favored by 2.5 points. Basically a pick'em game. I look at the two rosters. I think North Carolina has the better roster, but it's pretty close. I don't see a huge advantage there. I think both defenses are going to struggle in this game, so I'm expecting a high-scoring shootout type game. And at the end of the day, it might come down to who has the ball last. I trust Drake May more than Spencer Rattler, so I'm going to pick North Carolina by a touchdown, 42-35, the final score. All right, next we've got LSU, Florida State, the game of the week, 7:30 Eastern time on Sunday night, ABC. LSU currently favored by 2.5 points. Really a game that I could see going either way. I've had a hard time with this one. I've looked at some of the matchups, and I think there's some things that definitely favor Florida State. But then LSU, they've got some areas where I think they're going to have an advantage. I mean, it is a very tough game to predict. I did a preview of this game over on the LSU channel. And at the end of the day, I think the difference in this game is going to be one man. It's going to be Harold Perkins. I think his ability to contain Jordan Travis will be the difference. He proved he could do it against Bryce Young last year. I think he does it here in this game. LSU wins 27-24. I think both defenses play pretty well in this game. But again, I think Florida State's wide receivers have a big advantage over these LSU defensive backs. So I think that could be something that plays into Florida State's hands and they find a way to win this game. It's a tough one to predict, but I'm going to go with LSU. I went back and forth on this game all off season long, but now that it's here, I'm going with the Tigers. And then we've got Clemson versus Duke Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN, Labor Day. Clemson favored by 13. I think Clemson kind of comes out in this game with a chip on their shoulder. I know that sounds crazy. They're going to be favored here, but I think Duke is the way they played last year. They're believing they've got a chance. They're going to have the home crowd advantage, and I think they come out really amped up, maybe a little bit too much. I think Clemson's the team that comes out focused, ready to prove their haters wrong, their doubters wrong, because a lot of people are talking about Clemson maybe dropping off or whatever. So I think they come out really motivated early on. I think Duke will kind of get their rhythm later in the game and make it somewhat close. But I think Clemson's early lead will be the difference. Duke is not able to come back. And I think both defenses play well in this game. I've got to go with Clemson, though. 31-16, the final score. And those are my 10 predictions for this week. I would love to get your predictions. So give me you don't have to give me your score predictions. You can if you want to, but give me your 10 winners in these 10 games, and if you get them all right, I'll give you a shout out next week. So make sure you do that down in the comments below. It's going to be a great weekend. Enjoy it. I'll have more, of course, next week. Maybe some reactions this weekend to some of the games. We'll see how it goes. But thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more right here on the SG1 Sports College Football Channel.